The chairs around the pools are in a disgraceful condition. How do you all feel about that? Those stained, dirty chairs, aren't you ashamed when you have visitors? I was ashamed. Now, I'd rather have our lounges re-wet than to have a couple of hours of live music. So for the foreseeable future, we really must cut down. I have asked the property manager to institute austerity. There will be no live music. We cannot hire dancing companions. Social activities such as cabarets cannot be had unless at least 10 days in advance before the event. We have received payment for tickets sufficient to cover the cost of the event. We're not looking for a profit, but we cannot continue to sustain losses. For Mother's Day, we asked the social director to cancel the live music. We have a wealth of tapes. I was given the impression that the whole event was canceled, which I hope it wasn't, because certainly nobody ever canceled the event. We cannot afford to serve free beer and soft drinks at the cookouts. We don't have the money. I urged the picnics be held at the picnic area so as to avoid the cost of paying to set up the tables and grills at the poolside. At present, help to set up the tables and helping out at each social event costs us $100 just for the services of one person. All of us hope for improvement in our financial situation, sooner rather than later. Everyone is hurting in this poor economy, and we cannot continue to put our heads in the sand. I'm looking for volunteers to serve on an entertainment committee to help plan outings and events, which we can pull off for nominal cost or for which we would be willing to pay a reasonable sum. I know that Diane Milford has been eager to get started, and I would like to reach out to the Women's Club members for assistance because they do such a nice job planning their breakfast and their off-premises events. We need help desperately. I hope that you're going to be with the board to help us cut these costs, not feel that we are arbitrarily cheating the association in some way in suggesting that we make these monetary reforms. We've got to squeak by as best we can. Nobody wants a maintenance increase. Nobody wants to be assessed any more money. We're all hurting too badly. I have experienced reduced hours in my job and a cut in pay. I'm with the rest of you. Fortunately, I have not lost my job. Had a young man come in the office the other day, nice man, lost his job. He was a contract worker, no workman's compensation. He can't afford to pay his maintenance, he can't afford to pay his mortgage, he can't afford anything. He has no income. He came in to see what could be done about lowering his expenses. I don't know how we can help him. They'll talk to the property manager, maybe some suggestion will be good. But we have a lot of people like this, and we don't need people walking away from their property. Anytime someone doesn't pay their maintenance, we're picking up the tab for their maintenance. This is what condo living is. I hope that you'll support me. I hope that you will not let Mr. Samuels poison you against the efforts that I'm trying to take. And that is the best I can do. I thank you very much for your attention. Next on the agenda is the discussion to approve the cafe lease and addendum. Christine and Clive have been patient for quite some time. The documents have been in the hands of the directors for quite some time. Mr. Samuel suggested one or two changes, and they were made. I brought a copy of the final document, which with Mr. Samuel's inclusions, and I would like the board to act on it. May I have a motion?
I make a motion. I make a motion that we approve the cafe lease and the addendum at its current standing and in its entirety for Clive and Christine to get going on their tea shop.
Comment from the floor?
Linda,
Comment from the floor? Pardon? Oh, I thought somebody had.
Yeah, there is a comment from the
That's what
floor.
I thought, was a comment from the
Yeah,
floor.
go ahead.
Okay, could we know what the lease says, how long it's for, how much they are paying, what they are paying for, and what we are paying for?
we're paying for nothing.
We have discussed this in open meetings several times.
Oh, yeah.
They will be going rent-free initially
For the whole year?
for the year, yes. And at the end of the year, they will be paying $300 a month. They have an option to renew for 2 years if they're in good standing and have not in violation of any terms of the lease. At that time, provided for a graduated increase in rent and a portion and payment of the utilities that will be used by the cafe. Everybody has agreed many, many times that this would be a lovely amenity for the village. We should give them a chance. And I think that they're either going to end up broke, or we're going to end up with a fine, fine facility. Just the fact of having a little convenience store for milk and bread will be a real boon to the association. Thank you.
Another comment from the floor.
Linda,
Over here.
What about cooking facilities in the cafe? What about cooking facilities? Are they, will they be able to use the oven and the stove there, or?
We have no oven and stove there. There's nothing like that there. Whatever they need to use, they will bring in and it will be
They'll bring-
their
Are they allowed
at
to
their
bring
cost.
cooking home and bring it in?
At their cost, whatever they need, they'll bring in
In a
at their
restaurant,
cost.
or a restaurant, you can cook it home here and bring it in?
It's not going to be a restaurant operation as such.
Not a restaurant, just a tea room?
Steve.
And Linda, do you
And
come?
what kind of arrangements
Yes.
are you making for parking?
They will share
With the baby car.
parking with the beauty parlor.
Yes.
Ann Rosenson, yes. Paul Pipes.
Yes.
Michael Schenkel.
Yes.
Terry Clark. Absent. Scott Samuels, absent. Stuart Wolf, absent. Dan Coco, absent. Francis Lizzo. Yeah.
Unanimous.
Hallelujah. Good luck.
We have on the agenda an item to discuss and act upon a proposed safety and security resolution. This is something that Michael Schenkel was working on, and it has to do with the possibility of denying barcode privileges in cases where occupants do not have proper documentation or where people are very, very delinquent in their maintenance. It was put on the agenda prematurely, I'm sorry, because we're really not ready to discuss it. It needs a lot of work and consultation with our attorney. So I move that we table this portion of the agenda. May I have a motion?
You want to make a
I'll
motion?
make the motion, we table it to the next regular meeting. We're going to table that resolution for the next regular meeting regarding barcode privileges.
I need a second.
We're tabling a item till next Tuesday.
Any objection?
No.
Unanimous by the courtesy present. What are you tabling?
Safety and security resolutions.
Thank you.
Well, yes, let's vote. No objection.
We now come to the approval of recommended amendments to the condominium documents and bylaws. And for this, I would like to turn the meeting over to Mr. Michael Schenkel, who has worked very diligently on these and probably will be assisted by Linda in going over the amendments so that the board can make a decision.
You have this one? Oh. This is,
Well, there are 6 There's seven changes to the amendments that are being proposed, and they've all been prepared with the exception of completing the details to the term limits on board members' terms. And we'll vote on that subject to the attorney making sure that it's properly written.
Michael, the vote is actually to not only accept it, but to send them out to the owners.
Yes.
For their approval.
We're not going to vote on both. The board approving the amendments, and then we're going to also approve
The
that they
motion
disapprove.
will be that the board approve the proposed amendment and
Do I need to
send
read,
it to
should I
the
read the
membership for
amendments?
vote.
Yeah.
Okay, let me read the amendments so you're familiar with these 7 changes.
Just briefly, please, Michael. Briefly what the amendment is.
Very briefly,
Should
quickly.
we go one by one?
The first amendment would be 12A1B. Don't you have the order, Michael?
Oh, I see.
Amendment number 1,
Amendment number 1.
Article 12.
That's occupancy. Yeah,
This is under Article 12, occupancy and use restrictions. This reads that no apartment may be rented for any term of less than, this is what is being crossed out, less than 4 months nor more than 1 year. Apartments may be rented for any term, but not for more than 1 year. There's no minimum term limit, and it's for only 1 year. And there shall be not more than 2 leases per 12-month period. All leases must be in writing and shall provide that its terms are subject to the provisions of the condo documents. That's number 1. Yes?
Do I understand correctly that you could rent your apartment for 4 months, twice a year?
No. Michael, just give us simple story.
Oh, the lease term period is for any period with no time, no minimum, not 4 months. It could be for 2 months or it could be for 12 months.
The new, okay, just to clarify, right now, our present docs say that you can only rent, you have to rent for a period of 4 months or over, once a year. So our proposed change, since Florida's high and low season, and to help people during this time, is that you can rent twice a year for any period of time. In other words, you could rent, for a day if you wanted, or 2 weeks. It doesn't have to be 4 months.
What about our
But not more than, that's during 1 year, which is the way that it actually used to be, that you could rent twice a year.
Yes, Lori.
The only one that was allowed to rent more than once a year were the cabanas. And you don't know who's in the apartments today. Nobody knows who's living where. So if you're gonna rent twice a year, you're gonna be filled with people you don't know who they are. And the argument that
We don't know who they are because we're driving them underground by making the restrictions so difficult that people are just not filling out applications and they're living here.
Maybe we need to find out who's renting first before you pass any laws.
In my opinion, the only people that this twice a year business is good for are the real estate people. It's certainly not good for the residents.
We're ready, this is, yeah, these
On the
are,
board before we go to the floor, that's the proper protocol.
any other
I
comments?
have a comment. I am also not in favor of the rental twice a year. Ann, what is your opinion?
I'm not for twice a year. I think it's terrible for the people living in. It's good for the owner because they'll make a little money. It's good for the realtors. It's not good for the people who live here. You'll never know where your neighbor is. You'll never know who's living next door to you. It'll be like a hotel. Come in the hotel.
Now, we're.
Just because they're doing it now illegally doesn't mean you have to make it legal.
Oh, in this economy, people are losing their jobs left and right. People have leases and 6 months into the lease, they lose their job, they pack up, they move away, and the owner can't rent again for 6 more months. How's he gonna pay his maintenance?
We have always had a policy where on extreme circumstances, a petition could be made to the board. In just the couple of years that I have been on the board, this has happened often. And the board has been very, very understanding and has 9 times out of 10 granted the relief that was asked because it was reasonable.
Okay.
Which is fair.
Any other comment from the board members?
It's so important to know whether they can afford to live here.
Any other comment from board members?
Phoebe?
Okay, last December, the board voted to send out to the unit owners these amendments.
No, different amendments.
No, these were the amendments.
These are new amendments.
Now, this particular one is new. There's several others that we're going back on. This one was not included in that last mailing.
That's different from the ones that we had last year?
Yes.
This one is.
Because unit owners voted on these units.
Unfortunately, the way the amendments were phrased that went out to the unit owners was improper
The wording.
and should never have.
But there are two changes here. One is the ownership of 1 year before you can rent, which was already approved by the owners for 6 months. So we've changed that to 1 year before you can rent. Previously, it was 2 years. The separate part of that amendment, which you should be able to vote on separately, is the twice-a-year rental. But those are two separate issues.
Okay.
One of these did go out, you're right.
We're going to vote now, and then we're going to send these out to the people.
And then you decide. That's
And they're
correct.
going to vote on it.
This is, you know,
I think that everybody should understand something, that they changed from a 2-year ownership to a 1-year ownership. So the owner sweats out the year, and then think about it, he can rent twice for the year.
that's a separate issue.
It's not a separate.
Well,
unfortunately,
It goes
they're
hand in
combined in
glove.
the-
We're going to vote on them separately.
They'll vote on them separately, but they have to understand that it's hand in
Well,
glove.
unfortunately, you see, we're doing the same thing that was done improperly last year. We've combined 2 separate issues into 1 amendment.
These should be separated in the voting.
Why don't we take a vote on this, whether or not we want it to go through?
Yes.
And if we all don't want it to go through, then we just forget about it.
Yes. Yes, Paul. Why you
Well,
say
no, we
that?
have to decide what to send out because they voted already.
Who voted?
They did vote on it.
I'm saying right now, these amendments can be voted on individually by the board, whether or not to accept it.
That's what we're doing.
Why don't we do that?
No, you're not doing
it.
that.
Right now.
It's phases, there's different phases.
Okay, I make a motion that we vote on the 1 year moratorium before being allowed to rent. make a motion that we modify from 6 months to a 1 year moratorium before being allowed to rent.
Okay, this is what I have. That's the 1 year moratorium before you.
Instead of 6 months.
It's a 1 year moratorium.
What's gonna happen to people that wanna get a mortgage and we're getting all these people to rent? And we don't even have a census on what's already being rented. That should be the priority.
Here, here.
You're
People are totally forgetting about the priority to find out who's living here, who's renting, and what this is gonna cost to the village when somebody wants to buy and the bank gets a hold of this, and they will. Okay, and no one's gonna get a mortgage and then we become a whole rental community.
I think you're absolutely correct.
When you reach 15% delinquency in your budget, the bank will not issue a mortgage to that community. We're at 12% right now. We need to keep this place, we need to keep it, we have a plan to keep the maintenance coming in, to reduce the delinquencies right now. And if you'd like to see that plan, I'd be glad to show it to you.
Let's go back to the point.
Let's get back to the part of the resolution. Yes, Ms. Rivera.
Could I say something?
Only one at a
Yes.
time.
I understand that day.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Stand up.
Can you stand up this side? Hear you this side? Could you stand up? Quiet.
Day, is that what you said?
What?
That's
You
what
want
I'm
to
saying.
rent a day?
Yes, why not? If you would make it so
Why
foolish.
don't you just put a sign, Motel International Building?
Yeah, right.
That's what we're gonna happen.
You're absolutely right.
I don't agree with the no time thing, but I have an idea.
You said
Speak up, Jerry.
Yes, Jerry?
Yes, Jerry. I respectfully
Disagree.
understand your position, and basically this position that you're giving is the position that reflects people who live here pretty much all year round or much of the year, owners, and somehow in their mind, renters or tenants have the potential of making the place less desirable.
That's not.
Wait a second, you had your chance to talk, this is my chance to talk, okay? All right, you're entitled to your opinion, I'm entitled to my opinion, all right? You're my friend, you live in my
Just
building.
continue,
I
sir.
love
You don't need, Jerry, don't argue. Just give us
No, I'm
your
not
comments.
arguing, I just want to have attention so I can give my point of view on this, because I'm more or less on Michael's side.